We're going to call the May 5th, 2025 Wilson School Board meeting to order. Can we do the roll call, please?
Mr. Case, Mr. Hart,
Here.
Mrs. Casper, Dr. Kennedy,
Here.
Mrs. Cocker, Mr. McCray,
Here.
Mr. McCree,
Here.
Mr. Schneider,
Here.
Mrs. Denny.
Here.
6 present, 3 absent.
Okay. Can we stand for the pledge to the flag? Well, good evening. For anybody who attends these meetings regularly, you may notice that we have a small group up here tonight. It is the month of May, which means there's activities going on, 2 and 3 activities per night, every night of the week between the different buildings. And so 3 of our board members this evening are at Wilson West for the 7th grade concert. So that is why I am running the meeting and why we only have the small but very mighty group. So hopefully size will mean that we will be speedy and efficient, but we will see. We're going to start this evening by doing a raffle picking, and I guess I get to do that for the Cap and Gown Committee. They had a chance, people had a chance to buy an opportunity to get a party, rental stuff for a graduation party, which I imagine is a very nice gift to win. I don't know how many of you here are in here, but I wish you all luck. All right, and the winner is Olabumi Ojakudo. So I'm guessing Keme Ojakudo's family must have won. So congratulations to Keme and her family. And I'm assuming that the people who bought the tickets know what they need to do now? We'll let know. Okay. They'll be contacted, so congratulations. Maybe I'll get invited. Okay, so we have some communications pieces tonight. The first, I'm going to ask Ms. Petrus to come up to talk about Wilson's chapter of HOSA, Future Health Professionals.
Okay. So I'm here because I wanted to introduce HOSA. These are my HOSA students. So HOSA stands for Health Occupations Students of America. So can we move the slide over? Okay. So yes, Health Occupations Students of America. And so it's a national organization, and it's for students who are interested in the healthcare field. So we're brand new. This is our first year that we ever competed. And HOSA in general offers competitive events, conferences, hands-on experiences, and it prepares students for a success in healthcare careers in the real world, so through real-world learning. So, so the State Leadership Conference is something, well, first of all, HOSA is national, so they have a state leadership conference at all the different states, and it's really cool because it brings all the HOSA students from all over the state of Pennsylvania, and it's a big conference. And number one, it's really, really fun. Wouldn't you guys say it was fun? We had the most fun. And during this conference, when they competed, I'll talk a little bit more about what they did. But throughout this conference, students were able to build leadership skills, professional skills. There were workshops, there were networking opportunities. They met students actually from all over. We had students from Pittsburgh, from Harrisburg, and we even had students from Wilson that were from BCTC that we weren't expecting to see. So the top qualifiers for this competition would advance to the International Leadership Conference, and we did have a student do that. So I'll tell you about her in a minute. So there are a lot of different competitions, but the ones that we chose to compete in were the following that are listed up there. So we had a total of 16 students compete, and those are our 16 up there. And we were the best looking group, wouldn't you say? Yes, we were. So some of our competitions that they competed in were career health display was one of them. CPR and first aid. We had one that did creative problem solving, health education. HOSA Bowl was like Quiz Bowl, but it's all medical related questions. And then research poster, that's where we won our title. Okay, so next, so this I was really proud of. So the first round, they had to do a test. So, and only the top, I think 20 were able to move on to the second round. So all of our entire group all moved on to the second round. So I was really proud of that. So, so our senior, Sindora, say your last name, Sindora. Shridhar, she's the one that earned first place in her research poster. So I'm actually going to present her with her first place medal. They didn't have it at the event, so they sent it to us later. So I will have the opportunity to present this to Sindora. Okay, so congratulations. And this was a huge accomplishment because there were a total of, I think, 3,000 students that competed. And so what I was impressed with most was how proud I was to represent Wilson. So they were all very professional, they were committed and experienced or were really good with teamwork, and so they really made us proud as Wilson students. Okay, next. So some of the things that we learned throughout well, not even just the event, but throughout the entire process of getting prepared for HOSA: public speaking skills, problem-solving skills, team-based challenges, real-world skills, and career readiness. So that's really what HOSA is about. So I wanted to give a special thank you to the Teaching and Learning Department, because we had trouble, because we're a brand new club, and we had trouble at first raising all the money in order to go, and because of both student government and the Department of Teaching and Learning, they were able to fund our registration fee. So because of that, that's how we were able to get all those kids to go and compete. And of course, Wilson is a family, so I didn't do this by myself. Mrs. McCula helped us. She prepared the kids for the CPR event. Mrs. Shepler, Courtney Shepler helped us because we're all well, I'm a science person, and we really needed some creativity. So we needed somebody to give us to help us with our creativity and our artwork. So she helped with our career help display. And Mr. Raffoff is kind of like my co-advisor, and he helped out a lot also. So all of them kind of helped us out. So I would say this was a win for all of us. And then, and a special thank you to Nupur. Nupur is our president, and she's really the reason why we were able to get where we got. And Ian was also very, very good. We actually tried to get here for 3 years, and they have worked since they were sophomores, and we finally did it. So, and now that we know what we're doing, it's going to be much easier to continue this. So I want to thank them for their leadership, and then I just want to thank everyone for celebrating our hard work. And so we plan, well, Mr. Raffoff is going to actually take over. So they're going to plan to do this in the following years, because now we know what we're doing. So a special thank you to the Wilson community. Okay, that's it. All right, thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. That's really exciting. I'm surprised there's not been a group like this, and it's definitely something. There's so many options in healthcare. My father has been practicing as a physician for 58 years. He's an octogenarian, and he is still practicing part-time, training interns, and watching the changes in healthcare vicariously through him, because that was pretty much my life and then some, has been fascinating. So seeing the number of young women in particular is really exciting, looking at going into these different careers. I think you're going to have some great futures. So thank you. Next, we're going to have 1.5, a communications update on Minithon. I believe we have Ms. Marconi and Mr. Root. Is that correct?
Hi, thank you so much for having us here. My name is Julia Trickett, and I'm one of 3 overalls for Wilson Minithons 2025. Next to me, I have McKenna Peacock and Andrew Borman, who were my 2 co-overalls for this past year. I would like to get into a little bit about our leadership team. Me, McKenna, and Andrew had to facilitate over 30 captains and 200 underclassmen select members.
So I'll talk a little bit about my first captain group. I had hospitality, and you can see that was Siona, Amelia, and Will, and they play a really major role in all of our events, and especially the night of. They coordinate getting food donations. We get all of the food for over 150 dancers the night of, mostly donated, so they work on coordinating all of that throughout the year, which takes a really long time and a lot of effort to do.
I was fortunate enough to have communications, which my junior year was my captain position before I became an overall. And communications is exactly what it sounds like. It's absolutely essential. It's the cornerstone of our outreach to our community and our students and everyone in between. And they did an incredible job. They made flyers. They would come out and use the morning announcements and utilize the loudspeaker to make sure that they can get any and every communication out as quickly and efficiently as possible.
So my first group was entertainment, and our two girls that were in charge of all of the fun activities that were planned for the night of, on the stage all night, dancing, singing, get everybody involved, and I was Kylie Cook and Molly Vogren. And then I also had the next group, which as a junior, my job in Minithon was school relations captain, boosting school morale, sending out flyers and whatnot to all the students in the school. And that was Emma Doherty, Brady Klein, and Maddie Slavic, and they all did a phenomenal job. And then I also had family relations, which is Alana Sink and Grace Gentes, who cannot be here today, but they're in charge of all of the mainly younger families for the younger students in the school, and they send out flyers to them, try to get some younger youth participation in with the club, and they also did a phenomenal job.
And then my last two captain groups were finance and corporate sponsor, which Maddie Taylor is on my left here today. And we also have Sarah Jazarna, Nathan Zielinski, and Christopher Ernst, who did a phenomenal job. They're responsible for keeping up all our finances, any sponsorships that come through. They are in charge of keeping those organized on a document. And all night of, they were tucked away in a room where it was a big secret, counting all of the money that we have raised.
So next group is morale. They were in charge of, their big task was creating the line dance based off current events throughout the year. And that was JC Petrobone, Isabel Negrini, and Evelyn Melagrana. And in my opinion, I've seen the last 3 line dances, and this was by far the best one with the help of JC's dance background and Isabel and Evelyn's terrific singing. So.
And then I also had the merch captains, and that was Hannah and Sophia, and what they do, they design shirts for our Gold Out and our Night Of, which really reach all of the community members. I know everyone's always looking to get the shirts so that they can represent Minithon, and that just really helps show who we are as a club so that when you're wearing them, you recognize who our captains are and who's a part of our event.
My final group was special events, Layla Cope, Heidi Ding, and Laura Kissinger. They plan every event that is not on the night of. So any kind of food fundraiser we have, any activity we do in the fall or spring that isn't directly related to the event but still raises funds for the cure, that's their job.
And then I had these last 3 groups. Operations, they are exactly what it sounds like. They just make sure that everything is always ready to go. We have all the supplies, and it's just all the little things that you wouldn't normally think of that you need for an event. They just make sure everything is going as smoothly as possible and that everything's always set up. And then recruitment, they were in charge of our outreach to our select committee because we have about 30 captains, but then outside of that, we have a lot of freshmen, sophomores, and then also juniors and seniors who make up our select committee, and that's well over 150, 200 students that also then help out at all our events, so they communicated everything we were doing to them. And then my final captain group was our elementary middle school relations, and they work with all the 5 elementary schools in the district and the middle schools to plan school-specific events, and especially our Kids Night Out, which is one of the biggest events of the year.
I'm sure many of you know about Minithon and what we do and what we stand for, but if you're new, Minithon is obviously a club at our high school, and we host many events and fundraisers throughout the entire year, and we raise all the money, and it goes to the Four Diamonds Foundation, which is directly associated with Thon at Penn State, which is a 48-hour dance marathon. And on Friday, February 28th of 2025, we hosted our Minithon, which is a 12-hour overnight dance marathon with activities, games, food, class wars, anything you can think of. And we are super fortunate to have raised $100,108.25. And Four Diamonds is an organization that was founded in 1972 by Charles and Irma Millard, and they founded it in honor of their son, Christopher, who unfortunately lost his life to the battle of childhood cancer. And although he lost his life, his legacy thrives and lives on through all Minithons, Thon, and just the Four Diamonds Foundation is just honestly, like, truly what we stand for. And this is a group picture of all of our captains the night of. So every year, Thon comes back to us in the Four Diamonds Foundation, and they report, based on how much money we raised, how those dollars are actually being utilized. So this is a reflection of how some of our money is being used. 2,862 hours of music therapy, 668 hours of child life services, 22 months to maintain research equipment, 501 days for a clinical nutritionist, 100 days for a team of social workers, and 93 hours of ongoing research.
And then next, Andrew and I are just going to talk a little bit about all of our events throughout the year. This does not even cover half of them, but it's just some of our biggest ones. Our first event that we have was our Green Valley Moonlight Swim, and this is a really great community event because I know sometimes our events are just focused more on the high school or what's going on in our school, but this really helps get younger students and their families involved. It's always a great way to start off the summer with games and food trucks and just really a bunch of fundraisers. And then our leadership summit, which Andrew and I attended. Julia could not be there, and with our advisors, Ms. Marconi and Mr. Rutt, and then some of our other captains attended as well. It was in Hershey, and this was a really cool opportunity to get to interact with a lot of other schools' Minithons, and we could communicate with them and learn some of their fundraisers and what works for them so that we could then bring that into our Minithon and just improve and always have new events and new ideas. And then Gold Out, because September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So this is a really huge football game, and this year we had the really cool opportunity to, then it was paired with the Salute to Service game, so that was really an amazing opportunity to bring everyone together for both of those causes. And just, you could see how much spirit there is with the shirts and just all the decorations. It's always a huge event for us. And then our pickleball tournament was new this year with Everyone Loves Pickleball. It's been such a big thing recently. And we had a really cool opportunity to rent out the courts at the West Reading pickleball courts. And it was a range of students, and then we even had some professional, a lot more experienced players there. So it just really brought everyone together, even people, they didn't know what Minithon was, but they saw the event and took it as a cool opportunity. And then we got to educate more people about the cause and what Minithon was. And then Duncan's Corn Maze is also a fundraiser we do every year. It's a really great, another community event that really involves everyone, where we get to go through the corn maze. The younger kids always love it too, and there's all like the fires, just really brings everyone together for a fun night. And I think we had it this year, our week of homecoming, so that really raised school spirit.
So the first event I'm going to touch on is a new one this year, and it was a glow run. It was a short run meant for younger families, high school students, elementary school students. We had a wide variety of people that chose to run it. It was around West Middle School, kind of zigzagging around their walking trail that they have available there. And it was a great night. We had some hot chocolate and a couple different prizes made. Thank you to Mr. Howard down in the iSTEM lab, as you can see with our little glass trophies that he so kindly made for us. And that was a great event that we look forward to trying to run next year. I think this might be everybody's favorite. This is Kids Night Out. This is an event we do up in the high school hallways, and the teachers are so graciously enough allow us to use their rooms, and we have a bunch of elementary students that sign up. Their parents come and drop them off. They get a nice night out. They get to go to dinner or go do whatever they so choose, and we in a way babysit and entertain for a couple hours, and it's always great fun. Caroling. This is around the holidays. We go door to door in different neighborhoods. We sing a few Christmas carols, try to bring up some Christmas spirit while raising money for our cause that we so strongly support. And we, at the end, ask for donations. If they're not willing, that's okay. We still spread the joy. So 3v3 basketball tournament with the Kingsmen. This was a collaboration that we did with another club at our school. We hosted a basketball tournament in the gym. There was a lot of teams there this year, and it was a little bit difficult to navigate at times, but it was still extraordinarily fun, and I think we're definitely going to try to bring it back again. Mini-thon night of, this is the big dance. This is what we wait for all year long. It was run extremely well. I'm so proud of all of our captain groups. They did a phenomenal job planning up for their big day.
And obviously, there are so many people to thank. This would not have just been possible without our entire community, and especially Jacob Ferreira and his tech crew. They did a phenomenal job. They were there the entire 12 hours of the night along with us. They set up all day on that Friday and that Thursday. And especially our teacher volunteers, it would not have been possible without them. We had so many people from concessions to admissions to just coming in and staying up at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and it was just incredible, and we seriously could not do it without them. Additionally, I would like to thank all of our sponsors. Our sponsors are companies that donate more than $150, and obviously we have different levels to that, but some companies up there have donated over $1,000 to our club. And lastly, I would like to thank obviously our sponsors and the Wilson School District, but not only the Wilson School District, but the community that makes the Wilson School District what it is. Our event obviously would not be possible without it, and I cannot even put into words how much our community means to me. And I would also like to congratulate Alana Sink, Maddie Taylor, and Layla Cope, who are going to be our 3 overall heads for next year's Mini-thon. Yay! Thank you.
Before you guys sit down, I gave your teachers credit, and I would like to make sure that you all receive credit on the record for all your work. So if you can just say your names into the microphone.
Andrew Borneman.
McKenna Peacock.
And Julia Trickett.
Thank you so much for all your work. We're going to get on to the budget, which is number 1.6, but before we do that, the students are very welcome to stay if you want to understand the numbers, but you're also very welcome to leave. I'm going to introduce Dr. Trickett and Mrs. Schlossman to talk about the 2025-2026 budget.
Good evening, everyone. Before we start, I would like to thank everyone who has given countless hours in the development of this budget process. Dr. Trickett, our district leadership team, our building and department chairs who manage budgets, the finance staff, the finance committee of the board, the HR committee of the board, and the entire board as well. Our district is so very fortunate to have such a collaborative environment where we strive for the excellence in education that we deliver, and we also maintain our fiscal responsibility. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Trickett first. We are co-presenting this evening, and he is going to take the slides that deal with the Wilson profile, our strategic goals, and our enrollment trending.
Thank you, Ms. Schlossman. And I do just want to state that it seems to be a perfectly fitting opportunity to follow our students and our staff and all the work that they do to contribute to our great community and our great school district. As we all have come accustomed to now, knowing that everything we do and everything that our budget represents is truly in alignment with our vision and ultimately with the values and the goal statements and the work that we try to accomplish. These kids, most importantly, represent all of that. So the kids you met today, the kids on our pictures today, our purpose here in developing this budget and implementing programs and hiring personnel is all to do what we believe is best for our kiddos and to create a place where they have a great experience, a place where students love to learn, our staff loves to work, and people love to live. This slide has also been a slide that we've shared a variety of times with our community, and we continue to bring it forward because it again centers us on the people that we serve. You know, the population of students that we have is approaching 6,500. The number's always in flux. Our construction model and the buildings that we serve is also in flux as the board will take on consideration to go into a bid process for 2 additional major construction projects. But on the far right-hand side is a pretty good representation of the demographics of the kids we serve. Again, students who speak a variety of different languages, who come from a variety of different cultures and ethnicities, different types of family structures. We are serving, noticing over the last 10 years or so, a significant increase in the families that are classified as economically disadvantaged. Our English learning population is also an increasing population of families, as well as our special education population. You see that our average lunches served per day and our average breakfast. We intentionally put this on here to remind us all that it's part of the role of the school system, that we're not simply here to educate children within the confines of a 7-hour day, but we provide a variety of other services that our kids need to thrive and need to be successful in school and outside. Our strategic goals are still in place and they guide this work that we're doing. This is the final year in these goals. Again, the culmination of 3 years of work. Now I'm going to transition into a little bit deeper dive into student enrollment. Student enrollment is something that we've talked about a lot in this boardroom and in our committees because we're in a different position than a lot of other school districts across the Commonwealth. And I think this slide does a really nice job representing where we've come from, looking back into 2019 to current day, recognizing that we've increased by 266 students, or approximately 4.3% over the past 5 years. That's an average of 53 students. Students, again, who come from a variety of different backgrounds and have a variety of different needs, challenges, and gifts. You can also see this year, over the past year, we've grown by 47 students, and you can see that over the next 5 years, based on our trending data and some other demographic data that we have, we are projected to grow by 280 additional students. Breaking it down further, you'll take a look at our K through 12 special education population enrollment, and you'll see again a similar trending data of increased enrollment over the past 5 years. Most notably now, approximately 21% of our student population is receiving some type of services under the special education umbrella. Again, looking at our economically disadvantaged student growth over that same period of time, you'll see going back into 2019, we had 1,990 students, 32% of our population. And on October 1st of this prior year, we had 2,770 students, representing 43% of our student population. And again, this data is important because it drives programmatic decisions, it drives recommendations and staffing recommendations that we bring forward to the board and represents what we're trying to respond to in order to meet the needs of every kid every day. Our EL population growth is also evident on this slide. Again, you'll see very similar slopes on a lot of these lines. You'll see increasing numbers and also increasing percentages. But again, if you look back in 2019, 219 students were receiving EL support in our school district. We're nearly double that percentage today, almost 400 students. We look at different programs that we use to try to meet the needs of students. Again, our schools today look very different than the schools that many of us were educated in. We have our full, a very robust virtual academy. Students and families in Pennsylvania have a choice when it comes to how their children are educated, and we do our best to ensure that the choice for their kids is the Wilson School District. So here's an example of a program that has grown in enrollment and participation over time. This is our sponsored virtual program, which we use a variety of different modalities to meet kids where they are. One of which is Wilson in-house teachers teaching Wilson curriculum using Wilson assessments, and the other is through a virtual academy program that we partner with who provides the teachers to support our students. You can see currently in elementary school, there's not too many kids involved in this program, and that's an indicative of a quality elementary program in our school district in person. 3 students, approximately 20 students at the middle level, and 102 students who are participating at the high school. Not all of those students are full-time. It offers, options for kids to come in and out and provides flexibility for, again, each individual child and family members' needs. One of the reasons that this is included in this budgetary slide deck is that there's a cost to educating children. That's why we're here, and that's why we're proposing a final budget this evening. This option for us not only helps us meet the needs of kids, allows students to graduate with a Wilson diploma and stay on track and on time here, but it also provides a significant value add for our taxpayers because we can do it here at a more economical manner than our third-party virtuals, which we'll also discuss. Also, about 3 years ago, we created a personalized learning evening program. So we have a school in the high school that runs essentially from 7:30 in the morning till about 8 o'clock at night every single day. And this alternative pathway, this evening learning program for kiddos, gives them a chance to be successful in a smaller environment outside of the challenges sometimes that occur within a high school without nearly 2,200 students. So this was an idea that came from the high school and our student services team and our high school principals and our team of counselors, and has grown to 41 students currently for this school year who are being serviced by our teachers after school in the evening in our high school. Again, trying to create a smaller, more individualized, goal-oriented program for these students. So we have 24 different staff members across the organization that participate in this program, often one night per week to balance their load. And you'll see some really positive and encouraging data here. 73% is the average nightly attendance for students that participate in this program. The average course grade currently in the core content areas during the first semester was 74%. That's a strong indicator of us finding some success. And the last two here that I'm most proud of is that we've had 12 students who have earned their diplomas through participation in this program, and 8 students right now are currently on track to graduate because of programs like this, that this board has dedicated and invested funds into, and our staff has graciously agreed to work extra to meet their needs. We also look at Cyber Charter from an out-of-school perspective. So this is your third-party cyber charters. We've talked about them frequently, again, at these budgetary type meetings. Again, the option for families to go outside of the Wilson School District for education. You will see that we're in a slight upward trend there based on our 2024-25 data, and the budget for 2025 and 2026 that we're discussing tonight reflects that increased enrollment projection. So it's our goal to not have that increase. It's our goal to have that level out and even to decrease, to keep our kids in our school with our teachers in our programs. Governor Shapiro has also recently released his projected or his proposed budget, and this has been ongoing debate within the Commonwealth regarding how these programs are funded. Currently in the governor's budget, they're calling for a statewide flat $8,000 non-special education tuition rate. That is not, however, incorporated into our budget. It's just to reinforce some work that's going on within the legislature at this time. However, the Wilson School Board did adopt a cyber charter tuition reform resolution at a prior board meeting calling for the state to set $10,000 as a flat tuition rate, which would result in a local cost savings here of our budget of over $0.7 million. And that number of the $10,000 we discussed at a prior board meeting came from some collaborative work that we did within our Council on Legislative Action here within the county. So again, when we look across the community or the county as a whole, I think at times we lose sight of just how big our system is in comparison to some others. So I think this chart does a very nice job depicting the current size of the as of this school year, the equivalent full-day enrollment, which includes our half-day pre-K program. So we're around 6,531 students across the organization, and you can see the trends. We range anywhere in Berks County from 1,178 to the Reading School District, which has 16,526. So we are the second largest school system in this county. Then we also have to look at the trends, and we talked about trends previously. Here's your change analysis of Berks County schools. You can see the schools to the left of the red bar represent the other schools from Reading on the far left over to Schuylkill Valley, most of which are declining in enrollment, which again changes their budgetary prep, it changes their staffing allocation and requests for their boards. We're in a different pattern. We are showing an increase of 355 students since October 1st of 2018, which represents a 5.83% increase. The Muhlenberg School District, also you may be reading about Muhlenberg in the paper, they are also increasing in their enrollment, and they're also in a construction mode similar to the one that the Wilson School District is presenting. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Schlossman.
Thank you. So you can see here, based on our budget calendar, that we've been working on this since October. The Finance Committee does a deeper dive than we're going to do this evening. We're going to keep this at a summary level, but sometimes our presentations are upwards of 70 pages long that we go through all of the different components of the budget. So in October, we look at how we ended the year before, to see what our fund balance levels are, to see what initial projections look like. And then this past October, we did pass the accelerated budget opt-out resolution not to exceed the adjusted index for 25-26. There is a special circumstance now that the state provides a ready-to-learn adequacy portion of the grant that does not allow us to go above the adjusted one index. So a part of this is that decision is kind of off the table, at least in these past last 2 years. And then from November until April, we had numerous meetings internally with the administration and the Finance Committee, which is a public committee in which we review, like I said, more detail. Today is the day that the board will have a resolution on the agenda for the proposed final budget. This budget will sit for 30 days for public view on the PDE format on our website that anyone can access. And then we will make any adjustments between now and June 9th based on additional information we receive. And then June 9th will be the board's adoption of the final budget. So this is our 25-26 budget summary. Total revenues, $145.9 million. Total expenditures excluding the budgetary reserve, $151.8 million, with budgeted revenues under expenses of $5.9 million. We will be using fund balances to balance this budget, $400,000 of equipment committed fund balance, and $5.5 billion of PSERS committed fund balance. The $3 million of budgetary reserve and assigned fund balance is not part of the taxing equation. We will dive into the budgetary reserve explanation further into the presentation. So we're going to start with our budgeted expenditures, $154.8 million, which includes the $3 million budgetary reserve. You can see that salaries and benefits take up most of that, as well as then 14%, supplies, services, property, and other, debt service at 7% or $11.4 million, the phase-in for the construction of Phase 2 at $1.9 million or 1%, and the budgetary reserve at 2%. So our investment in personnel, $116.9 million for 25-26 budget. We broke it down into 3 major components of where those staff members serve. So 69% is instructional services, which include all of our classroom, regular and special education programs, vocational, and other instructional programs. Support services represent 29% of our investment in personnel, and that includes services for students as well as otherwise. So we have counseling, psychology, speech, social work, the library, and then we also have our operations services, transportation, business and human resources. And then the 2% component is our student activities and community services personnel, which assist with the athletic and music programs, clubs, summer parks, and community swim programs. This bar chart shows about 10 years of historical salary and benefit information, as well as the two budgets. The blue bar portion of the bar represents salaries, the red represents benefits. Whether or not you can tell by the way the chart looks, the benefits have outpaced the salaries by about 42% over this 10-year time span. Included in the 25-26 budget is a salary increase of 3.49%, which the Wilson Education Association contract provides for. This budget also includes staffing additions, including 21 teaching and learning full-time equivalent staff members based on our enrollment growth and our changing student needs. New to this year, the way we're benefiting salary, budgeting salary and benefits, we have a 2% vacancy discount incorporated into these numbers. Historically, we range anywhere from 1 to 3% vacancy, which creates a favorable variance at the end of the year, which is great, but we don't necessarily want to tax to that. So we're incorporating a discount this year, which then is covered in part, a partial portion of that in the budgetary reserve line item, which is why we increased that line. The PSERS rate, which is our pension system in the state of Pennsylvania for school districts, is at 34% this year. That's up 0.1%. And also our health trust, which is the Berks County School Districts Consortium for Medical Insurance Premiums, is increasing by 9.9% for 25-26. So the 14% piece of the pie for our total expenditures are basically everything that's not personnel, not debt, and not the phase-in. So all of the items listed at the bottom of this slide are paid through this particular portion of the budget, the largest portion being other services, which includes our tuition for cyber charter schools, BCTC, and outside placement tuition for some of our special education students. Supplies includes utilities, not just books and pencils, all kinds of supplies throughout the district, including our gasoline and our diesel fuel for our transportation fleet as well. And you can see the other particular objects there make up that small sliver of 14%. Our annual debt service, we have a total debt on the books to service of $100.7 million. This matures in 2039. It consists of general obligation bonds and general obligation notes. The orange line shows debt service as a percentage of our total budget, excluding the budgetary reserve. The blue line shows the dollar amounts of our debt service. So you can see that in the former years, we were around $12 million a year that we were paying principal and interest. In the COVID year, we did a scoop refunding, which brought it down to about $3 million, and then we came back up to $10.9 million for the last several years. But in doing, looking at our phase 2 construction projects, we will be going out for more debt, and in working with our partners at Raymond James and Financial Solutions, when we ran some scenarios, we determined that staying at 10.9 might not be the best decision for the district and our taxpayers, as increasing it by $500,000 to $11.4 million per year going forward would save us anywhere from $10 to $14 million of interest and shave a few years off of the debt service. So this budget does incorporate that. In doing so, our debt service would represent about 8% of our total budget. This slide talks about our Phase 2 facilities. We've seen this before in other budgets. We've started the phase-in 4 years ago. We are at $1.9 million, adding a $400,000 layer into the 25-26 budget, and we are getting toward our $3.5 million goal. What that does is that represents the staffing and operation costs that we will need when we open the doors of the new elementary school, as well as the expanded Southern Middle School. Our proposed budgetary reserve, as we spoke of, we're setting at $3 million for this year. It's been set at $1 million for probably 2 decades. As you can see, the red line depicts what percent of the operating budget that represents. So back in 2014-15, it represented approximately 1.1%. The current year, it represents 0.7%. So this would be increasing it to 2% of our operating budget. And as I said earlier, this will cover the payroll discount for vacancies that we spoke of, or at least a portion of that. And also there are some larger real estate tax appeals that may require us to refund prior year tax revenues. So that would also be covering that. We don't quite know when and how much those refunds might be, but this will protect the district in case that happens in the next year. This is a comparison of our budgeted costs compared to our other 17 schools in Berks County. This is ranked high to low when it comes to operating cost per pupil. That calculation is done by taking the total budget divided by the full-day equivalent enrollment, and you can see that Wilson is at the 16th position out of 18 school districts, and that we are well below the county average of approximately $2,775 less. So we are pleased that in comparison to our peers in delivering excellence in education, that we can still maintain that kind of rate and being fiscally responsible. Going on to our revenue sources, you can see the components of this are broken down by local, state, federal, and other. Local being the largest percentage. We broke that down just slightly further into current real estate tax at 55%, and other local at 15%. Other local includes earned income tax, business privilege taxes, transfer tax, and also our investment income. Our state portion is 28%, or $41.3 million. We are including 100% of Governor Shapiro's budget proposal for basic and special education subsidies, as well as the Ready to Learn grant funding. Federal money represents 1% for the Wilson School District, or $1.5 million, and then we have some other resources representing another 1%. Total budget revenues, $145.9 million. Real estate assessment growth, this chart is just showing the district's tax base, what is taxable to the district, what the millage rate would be calculated upon. And you can see over the last 5 years in the blue bars, it represents about 0.4% growth. The solid red bar represents the fact that we've had a net zero growth this year. You might find that surprising. In the notation on the bottom, you see that we had growth of $29.2 million in this district. However, it was netted against appeals. So we're at basically a net zero. To the right of that column is a patterned red column showing a decrease of 0.7%. That is what we need to incorporate into this budget, as we do have several large pending pretty much commercial appeals that have not settled, that can drag on for several years, as we have found out, but it also can all be settled this coming year. So that is part of the projected tax base. That's not 100% of what's pending, It represents about 50% of what we know is pending. To touch on the Act 1 index, the Act 1 index is set by PDE, Pennsylvania Department of Education, and you can see 4 years of the indices there. Basically, that sets the ceiling of what the district can raise taxes. So the base index is applicable to the entire state, but then if districts have a certain aid ratio that's over 0.4, we have the adjusted index be our index. So because Wilson's market value personal income aid ratio is 0.5074, we have the adjusted index applicable to this district at 5%. This is the 10-year millage change chart. As you can see, the blue line is the actual millage increase by the Wilson School District over time. The orange line is the adjusted Act 1 index, and the red line is the base Act 1 index. So what we're showing on this chart, on the right-hand side, you can see in the 10-year and 5-year historical average blocks that our actual increase has been below both the base and adjusted index for the 5-year mark and the 10-year mark as well. And this budget also maintains that. This budget has a 3.79% increase in the millage rate, or a millage of 31.8. Where we land with that millage, although the millage rates for the other school districts are not published yet, so NA is representing of not available at this time, although some may have announced their proposed final. We believe, based on a survey throughout the county of the districts, that we will maintain being in the bottom third for millage rate in the county for next year. So going on to state revenues, one thing that does help to ease the blow of a tax increase is state gaming funds. Thankfully, this year, the state just last week announced its state gaming funds exceeded $1 billion to be spread across the state for next year. It's the highest in 10 years. And our allocation actually increased by $300,000. So overall, this Wilson School taxpayers received $2.4 million of tax relief. That will be shared by our 8,313 homestead and farmstead property owners for an estimated tax relief of $290 on each tax bill. So what that looks like is, on the left-hand side here, you see the median assessed value of a home in Wilson School District at $122,300, average being $140,761, and the 75th percentile, meaning 75% of our homestead and farmstead owners have a property assessed at $169,600 or lower. The gray box represents what the tax bill was last year based on those assessed values on the left. The green box represents what the tax bill is projected to be this year with the homestead farmstead increased relief from $248 last year to $290 this year. For the yellow box to represent what the actual increase would be on a homestead and farmstead owner's tax bill. So you can see that 75% of the homestead and farmstead owners will experience an increase of $154 on their tax bill, which will be an effective rate of 3.11% or lower. Another state source is basic education funding, or BEF. You can see the growth there in that particular funding source. Last year, they reset the base. So the base is the blue portion of the bar, saying that it's hold harmless. No matter what your student enrollment does, you're going to get that base amount. So that base was reset. Some of the school districts, like Wilson, who are growing, would have gotten hurt by the fact that the student piece of basic education funding was being reset. So we received a hold harmless portion in the budget this year, and that became part of the base for next year. So we're looking at an overall increase of $278,000 in this funding source for next year, and we are budgeting 100% of that. The State Ready to Learn block grant increased significantly last year as a result of the Commonwealth Court case stating that the funding formula was unconstitutional to school districts in Pennsylvania. Basically, we were part of the group that was identified in the state of the 348 districts that were underfunded or we were funded inadequately. So those districts, starting last year, received a portion of what is considered to be basically the amount that we're underfunded. So we basically got 1/9 of what is identified as that inadequacy gap. And this year, the governor's budget also includes another $1.9 million as a second installment. We hope that those 9 installments will be made. However, it is debated if the state can afford to continue to do that, but we are incorporating 100% of this installment into our budget for next year. Special education funding, slow and steady with this type of funding, $210,000 increase for next year. We also added another $100,000 for a contingency subsidy that we received this year for special circumstances in which we have very high cost education for certain students. These are some pictures from last week's Wilson Games. We just wanted to show here on this slide that although we have that slow and steady state funding and basically flat funding for special education, the cost has exceeded the funding increases. And you can see that the federal and state portion of the costs were covering 20% of our costs in 16-17. But with this proposed budget, it's looking more to be only 18%. So this is definitely an area where there needs to be more advocacy so that we can receive adequate funding to assist the education of these students. And finally, we want to touch on fund balances. Our projection in the light green column is that we will end this year at approximately $33.9 million. This budget does utilize $5.9 million of fund balance, and you can see the two pieces of the pie that are kind of being pulled out of the committed PSERS fund balance and also the equipment purchases fund balance. It totals about 17%. You can see that our fund balances still meet our school board policy to maintain at least 3% of subsequent years' budget expenditures in the unassigned fund balance. And you can see that the total fund balance allows us about 9 weeks of budgeted expenditures at the end of next year. So in conclusion, our next steps would be the board adoption of the proposed final budget. There's a resolution on the agenda this evening. Tomorrow, on our public website, under our finance office page, you will find the PDE budget format, which goes into practically every line item that makes up this budget for public inspection. We will be reviewing any update on projections, state budget, likelihood, and any other program needs or adjustments that we need to make. We will review those with the Finance Committee on June 2nd, which is a public meeting, and then the final adoption of the budget will be on the agenda for June 9th. Looking forward, we do 5-year projections. We are still within our fund balance board policy, but we also monitor our enrollment trends. We also will be looking at our assessment, our taxable assessment. We're looking at some future growth in this district. We'll hopefully bring those numbers up. We will be assessing student needs, evaluating our programming, and looking at our staffing needs, as well as updating our construction plan. So we have a lot on our plate in the next 5 years, and hopefully we have built a budget that can continue to assist us to make education excellent in this district while maintaining our fiscal responsibility. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schlossman and Dr. Trickett. The amount of work that goes into creating that document, I think you get a brief break from late June to early August, and then it starts again every year. So thank you for all of your work on that. I don't believe we have any public participation on agenda items. Do you have a solicitor's announcement otherwise? Mr. Moravec?
I do regarding item 11, regarding item 11.2, which is on the agenda. There's a slight change in the dollar amount that will be owed to this vendor because of this calculating it properly through the student population. There's a set fee that is the migration, installation, and secure cloud fee. That's $45,692. That will be $47,067, which is an increase of $1,375. There's also an estimated future recurring cost, which is $59,000, or was $59,226, which is now $60,055. So that's a difference of $829. So the total increase would simply be about, it is $2,204. And that is reflected on the document that is attached on 11.2.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moravec. Prior to today's meeting, we met in executive session to discuss personnel matters. Agenda item 2.1, request to approve the minutes of the school board meeting held on April 14th, 2025. I'm looking for a motion to approve item 2.1.
Schneider, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Do I have a second?
McCurry.
Thank you, Mr. McCree. Any discussion? Okay. This is a voice vote, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. On to committee reports. We have Ms. Negrini for student outreach.
Thank you, Mrs. Denny. I'm very excited to report today. As you can probably tell in my agenda, there are a lot of really exciting things going on in our school district, so I'm just so excited to talk about our district's amazing versatility. Starting off with elementary and middle schools, I first wanted to congratulate the cast and crew of Green Valley's recent production of Aladdin Kids. This is a really exciting opportunity for young students to explore their, theater journeys and their comfortability with performing on a stage. Similarly, kindergartners at Shiloh Hills had a very fun experience. WFMZ's Dan Skeldon had the privilege of getting to talk about meteorology after they just concluded their weather unit. So that was a very exciting thing for those kindergartners. Moving on to our community, the International Food Festival, which was held on April 30th in the Lower House, was a huge success. And it was just a great event to celebrate all of our varying cultures and ethnicities here at the district. Additionally, our district recently celebrated several national holidays involving education, including School Bus Driver Appreciation Day, Administrative Professionals Day, and Staff Appreciation Week. So you can see a lot of the information about this on our social medias at the Wilson School District on both Instagram and Facebook. These are just really great opportunities to celebrate our wonderful community and district. Students had a blast at Wilson High School prom this past Saturday. The theme was Enchanted Forest, and I highly recommend that you check them out on our social media because this was absolutely beautiful, and I can attest to it that it was a very fun prom. There was delicious food catered by GNA. The DJ was great, so I had a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people did. Moving on to academics, recently 7 high school students from the high school attended Judy Schwank's annual Model Senate event at the state capitol, where they discussed and voted upon current issues affecting our legislation. I had the privilege of being a part of this last year, and I strongly encourage you to research more about this because this is such a wonderful opportunity to allow our students to educate themselves on how our Congress works. It's a very amazing event. And I also wanted to give a huge congratulations to Wilson Junior Kira Hartman, who recently graduated from RAC with her associate's degree, all while being still in high school. This is amazing. I have no words. I'm speechless. I'm very proud of her. For our athletics, Wilson Unified Track and Field recently held its last track meet, which concluded the end of their season. Congratulations to everyone involved in this absolutely amazing team. And I wanted to give a special shout out to both Mr. Bull and especially Mrs. Lawrence, who really are just so passionate about these students. They treat them like their own kids, and for rallying this large group of students together. Similarly, last Friday, Wilson hosted their yearly Wilson Games, which is an incredible event designed to celebrate the amazing gifts of our special education students. This was hosted on Gursky Stadium, and this event, if you haven't been to it, I highly recommend. It is just, the energy is so infectious, and it's a wonderful way to celebrate our fabulous special education students. It's just an amazing event. I could not say more positive things about it. Congrats to both the boys and girls track and field teams for winning their division after defeating rival Governor Mifflin in a very exciting meet. This was a very unexpected win, and I wanted to congratulate these very talented athletes. Finally, our arts department, congratulations to the Wilson Indoor Percussion Team for recently winning first place at their regional championships. Once again, our marching band and just band program is just phenomenal, so thank you for making us proud. And lastly, a huge congratulations to all of the amazing students involved in the Wilson High School Art Show. Last week, we had the privilege of getting to see all of their artwork displayed right here in the admin building and in the staff development room. I'm just continuously so impressed by our students' amazing versatility and their ability to really dedicate themselves to their craft. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Ms. Negrini. There's certainly a lot that was happening at the school, and I have to second your comments on the Wilson Games. It's one of my favorite events, and watching the students and the teachers, every single administrator pretty much was there, and the best part to me is watching the students, especially the younger students, working with their buddies. It's just, these relationships get formed, and it's very special to watch. So if you have not gone, I encourage you to go next year. It's definitely worth it. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Dr. Kennedy for teaching and
Thank you. We had several updates at the Teaching and Learning Committee meeting on April 30th. Elementary teachers from grades K to 5 will be attending training at the BCIU that have to do with the new STEELS, the new science standards. In the middle school, they're working on the new schedule. They're working on homework committee is deciding what homework will look like in the middle school. And we also spoke about a world language exploratory course proposal where students will have an opportunity to explore several different languages before they make their choice for 8th grade for the language that they'll take. As far as the high school, there was a course proposal presented for the WVA, which would be an online course for those students who are doing a teaching internship. Because they're in the classroom so much, it's easier for them to do their schoolwork online, which totally makes sense. That has to do with their internship. 9th grade is adding the Hunger Games to their book list. that's a very cool choice. I mean, I think so. We talked about some changes to the credit recovery program, which is on the agenda for approval tonight. We also had some discussions on the retake procedures up at the high school. That's going to be coming up, where they're going to be talking about, relooking at those retake procedures for the middle and the high school. We have a lot of contracts on the agenda tonight, and we had some great news at the end of the meeting where Kutztown University received a grant for more than $900,000 to enhance their dual enrollment programming for students who want to become teachers. So that is like a win-win-win all over the place. At the very end of the meeting, we had a really spirited discussion about ways that we could incorporate foreign language learning in our youngest students. And that will hopefully become an ongoing discussion because, as we all know, that's one of the ways we are far behind other countries in the world when we don't even start language learning until 8th or 9th grade. So it was, of course, a great meeting. Everybody should be jealous that they're on that committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. I have to second your thought on the Hunger Games. That's a great addition. I read that book in one night. I didn't know it was a young adult book, and I was like, this is a great book. And then I wanted to read the rest, but it definitely surpasses, I think in 11th grade, I had to read Beowulf. And while I recognize that's important for literature, Hunger Games is a significant improvement. So.
Agreed, 1,000%. And my literature reading is like, I consider middle level reading as like my grown-up reading. I just think there's nothing like good young adult fiction. I think it's the highest quality literature out there. So I'm glad that we are in the, no, it was probably was that the 80s or 2000s? I don't know. When was that published? Is it 2000s? Oh, they were like 200 years ahead of where we've been reading, so that's awesome. Thank you.
Item 3.3, Finance Committee Report. Mr. McCray.
Yes, we met on Thursday, April 24th at 4:30 in this building. Obviously, the major topic of discussion was what we just got presented on in terms of our budget for the coming year, so I will not delve into that any further, and I will not do it justice compared to what Dr. Trickett and Mrs. Schlossman did, other than to say, as you mentioned, the production of that entire budget and the presentation, while it seems like it's a 20-minute presentation, it truly is a year-long effort by our tremendous, finance staff, our tremendous administration, all led by Mrs. Schlossman's efforts. So we are very lucky to have her and the entire group there to keep us in great financial standing as we move forward. So once again, thank you to all of them. Other than that, we did discuss two items that are later on the agenda. One of which is the conversion of the business suite to Skyward's cumulative school business suite. This would be a multi-month conversion process, but that is up for approval later in this meeting. The other thing we look to is a contract with a consulting firm related to the reimbursement we get from our from access programs and Medicaid. We do think there's opportunity there to obtain more revenues than we are right now, and we think that partnering with this consulting firm will allow us to do that. Other than that, our next Finance Committee meeting, as mentioned, is on June 2nd. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. In addition to all the work that Mrs. Schlossman does, Mr. McCray and Mr. McCree do a great job on that committee, keeping us on track. And I would note, hiding in the back is your predecessor from that committee, and he left you big shoes to fill, but you have been doing an excellent job. And it's good to know that people still want to come back to the meetings, even when they don't have to. So on to item 4.1. Mr. McCray, do you do this one, or do I do this one?
No, I can do that one, sure. So request to approve the payment of bills, motion to approve the payment of bills that's presented from the general fund, $3,168,843.93 as presented.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for item 4.1? That was the motion. Okay, then.
Second.
Then we're looking for a second. Thank you for keeping me on track. Any discussion? Okay, Okay, this is a roll call.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Motion passes. Item 5, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Vice President Denny. I present the superintendent's report inclusive of all items below. Specifically, I'd like to call our attention to 5.1. Oftentimes, this time of year, we get an opportunity to celebrate many members of our team who have contributed years of service, and this board meeting is no different than the others. So a variety of different positions here held within the organization. Had the opportunity to talk to Richard Starren, actually at the Wilson Games, which we've talked about a few times. Will absolutely be missed. Terry, Kristen, Corleen has been a driver for us for 23 years, and is just a driver leader for us, a trainer, and just an overall wonderful person. And rounding out the top there, Kathy, as a substitute special education IA. So big shoes to fill all across that list. And then highlighting also 5.6, quite a variety, again, of professional staff members, related services staff members being recommended tonight for our board's consideration, including Sadie Gold, which is here, who is here, I should say, who will be filling a placement as a teacher at Green Valley Elementary School. So welcome to you, and in just a few moments, you'll be approved as an educator as well. But congratulations. Hard process to get a job at the Wilson School District, and we're just proud that you chose us to be hopefully your forever home, and congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Dr. Trickett. So I'm looking for a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.8. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, the only thing I'm super salty about is that Sadie will not be able to teach one of my kids at Green Valley, because this will be the first year.
Have everything. They can teach her.
I mean, I've had a kid there for like the last million years.
God.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Congratulations and welcome to Wilson. Okay. Item 6.1, request approval of the attached contract renewal for PSBA Insurance Trust for Better Unemployment Compensation System Basic Programming, BUCS, pending solicitor review. And item 6.2, request approval of the attached updated job descriptions for the technology department. I'm looking for a motion for items 6.1 and 6.2.
Hart, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCree. Do we have a second?
Hart.
McCray.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hart. Any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Okay, motion passes. Since there's only a few of us, everybody gets lots of opportunities to put out motions in seconds. Item 8.1, request,
7.1.
I'm sorry,
first.
thank you.
Okay.
Again, keeping me on track. Item 7.1, request to accept with gratitude the donations as presented. We have a donation from the Pennsylvania Principals Association in memory of Dina Wirt in the amount of $1,000. The donation will be used to create an area to oversee the green zone on the Green Valley campus, which Dina helped develop through grants and as part of being designated as a certified green school. We have a donation from the National Energy Foundation in the amount of $150 for participating in Think Energy at Cornwall Terrace. and a donation from Performance Toyota Volvo in the amount of $12,104 to cover the cost of new uniforms for our high school boys and girls track and field teams. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
We need motions first.
You're right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I was just saying we needed people to do this. So I'm looking for a motion for consent item 7.1.
Schneider.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schneider and Mr. McCree. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to those organizations for supporting Wilson. I will note that Dr. Wert's passing impacted a lot of people at the school, and so this is a really nice way to recognize her and the role she played at Green Valley. Item 8.1, request approval to renew a service agreement with Keystone Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. Item 8.2, request approval to renew an addendum to the service agreement with Austilles Rehabilitation Services, Inc. for occupational therapy and physical therapy services for 3 years, beginning on July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2028. Item 8.3, request permission to waive tuition as per Board Policy Number 202, eligibility of non-resident students. Item 8.4, request approval of summer hours for school psychologists, school nurses, school counselors, and school social workers as presented. Looking for a motion to approve items 8.1 to 8.4.
Schneider, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Any discussion? This is a roll call.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Item 9.1, request approval to contract with TWG Security to install security cameras and door access controls at 2620 Westview Drive for a total cost of $63,570.54 per CoStar's contract using capital funds. Request approval to purchase 96 86-inch New Line interactive displays to replace outdated projection equipment in the district using fiscal year 25-26 capital funds for a total cost of $211,104 per CoStar's contract. Request approval to purchase 15 86-inch New Line interactive displays for installation in the old admin building and high school using fiscal year 24-25 capital funds for a total cost of $32,985 per CoStar's contract. Request permission to sell a surplus battery backup system to Somerset Power Systems for $1,200. Item 9.5, request approval to enter into a 36-month lease with Dell Financial Services for 6th grade student Dell Chromebooks beginning July 1st, 2025 at an annual cost of $79,607.41. Item 9.6, request approval to enter into a 48-month lease with Dell Financial Services for high school teacher computers and student Chromebooks for 1st, 2nd, and 9th grade, beginning July 1st, 2025, at a total annual cost of $166,370.28. Item 9.7, request approval to enter into a 60-month lease with Dell Financial Services for office desktop computers beginning July 1st, 2025, for a total annual cost of $17,548.11. I'm looking for a motion to approve technology items numbers 9.1 through 9.7.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCree. Do we have a second?
McCray.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Motion carries. Mr. Maravich, was it under here that you made the announcement about the change under section 10?
Yes, it was for 11.2.
Oh,
which was
11.
the-
Okay, the
yeah,
next one.
Skyward
Okay, thank you.
cumulative, I guess that's pronounced.
Yes. Okay. Item 10.1, request to approve a contract with Four Wall Entertainment for the rental of 2 LED screens for the Wilson Class of 2025 graduation event in the amount of $9,640. Request permission to purchase district art supplies through the BCIU bid for July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Request permission to purchase district classroom and office supplies through the BCIU bid for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Item 10.4, request approval to purchase district custodial supplies through the BCIU bid for July 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. Excuse me. Item 10.5, request approval to use Republic Services for trash removal services through the BCIU Joint Purchasing Board for the time period of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. Item 10.6, request approval for outfield netting at the JV softball field by Pro Max Fence Systems. Item 10.7, request permission to authorize Crabtree Rohrbach and Associates to prepare and issue bid packages for the proposed new Lincoln Park Elementary School. Item 10.8, request permission to authorize Crabtree Rohrbach and Associates to prepare and issue bid packages for the additions and renovations to Southern Middle School. I'm looking for a motion to approve operation items 10.1 to 10.8.
McCray.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Before we have discussion, Dr. Trickett, do you want to discuss the timeline for the bidding process on 10.7 and 10.8?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Denny. So just again, as a reminder from our prior board meeting, when you're looking at those two specific items in regards to 10.7 and 10.8, there's no risk, financial risk to the organization, to the board, or our taxpayers. It's simply the next step in the process. The board will have an opportunity after the bids have been received and we have a chance to review them and bring forward recommended bidders for your consideration to have another vote. And that will be the final vote in this process that we've had, I think, 4 or 5 different opportunities to discuss publicly. So the current plan is that, assuming passing tonight, is that we would authorize Crabtree Rohrbach Associates to move forward, specifically with the Southern Middle School project, where we would kick off the conversation, have the pre-bid meeting scheduled, and get that bid package out as soon as possible. Intentionally, we have separated the Lincoln Park project from the Southern Middle School project because the contractors have given us some feedback locally that that's in our best interest to allow them with the time that they need to adequately prepare an appropriate and fair bid through the different primes that we have here in the Commonwealth. So over the next 2 months, will be a flurry of activity on our end to ensure the bids are released, that packages are received, that they're reviewed by our team, and then ultimately brought back to the board for conversation and decision here in the summer months. The goal would be, if this goes smoothly, that you would see equipment mobilization, laydown area design and layout at Southern and Lincoln Park before the close of the summer. So the timeline will go quickly.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Trickett. Is there any other discussion? Dr. Kennedy?
I would like to say that I am both impressed and heartened by 10.6, as I have an 11-year-old softball player, and when the ball goes to the outfield, it's amazing. So the fact that when they're in junior high, it's going out and they're out of that fence, like, there's hope. So I'd like to say congratulations to our girls softball team, and thank you for giving me some hope.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Any other discussion? Okay, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11.1, request approval of the 2025-26 proposed final general fund budget in the amount of $154,800,000 at the real estate millage of 31.80 mils as per the attached resolution. 11.2, request approval of proposal for Skyward Finance migration service to Skyward Cumulative School Business Suite, including secure cloud computing services, based on the changes that are in the attached document to the amounts. 11.3, request approval of Mile 2 Consulting LLC agreement for consulting services to maximize reimbursement for the Pennsylvania School Board Access Program and Medicaid Administrative Claiming Program. I'm looking for a motion to approve items 11.1 to 11.3.
McCray?
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. McCree. Any discussion? Okay, we can have a roll call vote.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, motion carries. Item 12.1, request to approve the Summer School Credit Recovery Program for the 2025 summer session. Item 12.2, request approval of the Student Teaching Affiliation Agreement Addendum between Kutztown University and Wilson School District. Item 12.3, request approval of the Student Teaching Affiliation Agreement between Eastern University and Wilson School District. Item 12.4, request approval of the 2025-2026 Reading Area Community College Wilson School District Dual Enrollment Agreement. Item 12.5, request approval of a contract with Over the Moon Events Rentals, LLC, to provide services for Cornwall Terrace Elementary School's end-of-year celebration. Item 12.6, request to approve a contract for services with the Reading Writing Project Network, LLC, for elementary school professional development. Item 12.7, request approval of a contract with Zern for 2025-2026 elementary and middle school math support services. Item 12.8, request approval of an overnight trip to South Mountain YMCA for 6th grade students. I'm looking for a motion to approve teaching and learning items 12.1 to 12.8. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Item 13.1, we have the second reading of Policy 227, Controlled Substances, and we have item 13.2, the final reading and adoption of Policy number 622, Capital Assets. I am looking for a motion to approve item 13.2, the final reading and adoption of Policy 622.
McCray?
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCree, any discussion? Is this a roll call?
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Do we have any public participation on non-agenda items, Mr. Ravitch? We do not. Any other members of the board have any other business? Yes, Mr. McCree.
On this past Sunday, I had the privilege to attend the Berks County PA Sports Hall of Fame induction, and I was there to support the basketball coach at Kutztown, who's our head basketball coach, and we're both named Bernard, so that was a plus. But I was pleasantly surprised that 4 of the inductees were Wilson graduates. And the women's 1994 women's swimming team was recognized and inducted also. So it was very, very uplifting. I was like, oh, that's my district that I represent. So it's very wonderful to be there. Travis Berger was one of the inductees. Kerry Collins, who most of us really know. James Failing, Rudy Ruth, who was a superintendent here, I believe, at some point. So just wanted to make mention of that and to recognize the accomplishment of Wilson graduates still going on and on and on and on like the Energizer Bunny.
Thank you for that information. Yes, Dr. Ruth started here when I was in what was junior high then, and all of the junior high girls were very excited by the new men's water polo coach, because he was young and enthusiastic, and we all were very excited. And so, yes, he was here for a very long time, so I'm guessing he got in as a coach. That's how he got entered in, yeah. And Kerry Collins was the year after me, so that's really exciting to hear those names. And the swim team of 1994, that's closer.
Yeah, I had the privilege of, I will say, getting beat by those girls on a regular daily basis. They were quite impressive. Listen, it's all out there. One of them, actually, who graduated with me a couple of years later, who was part of that team, went on to be an Olympic medalist as well, Christy Colwall. And so, and she did teach here, correct. And also, as Rudy was my coach when I played water polo, it's a well-deserved honor for all those names that are out there.
I think Christy still has her name on the natatorium, doesn't she?
No, it's Roy's.
No, meaning her record still stands, don't they? Correct. All right. Any more business? All right. Then the meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
You just need a motion.
Oh,
for it to-
I can't just do it? Okay. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Schneider so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider.